And hello, it's Sunday. It's me, it's Mickey Nobody. It's time for another episode of the Blegh Witch Project. I'm here with usual guest host Ota. Well, not guest host, co-host. Sorry, not co-host. Guest host of Win.
Me again. Can't get rid of me.
Unfortunately. And we've got a special guest. Hopefully you guys all know him already. It's ThatOneEdgyKid that you've probably seen on TikTok, on Instagram and YouTube as well. How are you, Edgy?
Hello, I am doing brilliant. Thank you for inviting me on.
No worries, man. I want to say first thank you to Rory for putting us in contact as well. He's a fantastic bloke. I've had a few interactions with him now in the last year, and he's always absolutely just completely genuine guy, absolute legend bloke. So Rory, if you're listening, we love you, buddy.
Big ups. You can't see, but I've got one of his shirts on right now.
I was going to say, I think that's one of his, like, spot on, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, great to have you on. Obviously, got you on because I know you're a bit of a metalhead. I know you said you would have been at Bloodstock like this year, but some things came up stopping that happening. Hopefully, we'll see you there next year.
100%.
But yeah, we wanted to just get a chat to you, figure out what your music taste kind of is. Obviously, ask you some questions about how you managed to get your 300,000 followers now on TikTok. As well as obviously your other platforms too. I don't know what the full number would be up to by now on all the platforms, but 300k, 300,000's bloody good job so far. Well done, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not even sure what the number is on other platforms, to be honest.
But yeah, we've got.
That's like a. If that was YouTube, that'd be a silver play button, wouldn't it?
Silver's, yeah. On YouTube, it's 100k, but it's a far different ball game. YouTube to TikTok.
Oh,
I mean, YouTube, you have to put actual effort in. TikTok, a 1-minute video, and I'm sorted. You know what I mean?
YouTube is a YouTube and Twitch as well. Both just constant grinds, constantly.
Yeah, no, I've got a few mates who do YouTube or are trying to start on YouTube who came from TikTok, and just from what they've told me, it's just 10 times more work for a video, and there's increased pay and all that, but it's just a lot of work.
You've got a lot of increased competition as well. And when you count how long YouTube's been around, and you've already got like generations of established big YouTubers to compete with.
I don't really view it as a competition though. If I'm being honest, I feel like TikTok's far more competitive because at least with YouTube, it's like it feels more community driven. You've got your following base, and people will typically watch whatever you put out. Whereas with TikTok, you're competing with a bunch of other people against an algorithm, and that's a whole different ball game because you can't really think of the mindset of what people are going to want to click on, what they're going to watch. You're just going to have to hope and pray that the robot behind the scenes thinks you're worthy to be shown to people.
Yeah,
that's like that with the YouTube Shorts as well. I noticed some of the content creators I follow who have only just recently started making use of YouTube Shorts have all said that their shorts generally appear at the bottom of the list because they don't make them that often. It's mostly like their actual videos that get pushed to the top. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, I've heard of some content creators who have only blown up in shorts and their full-length videos just get no views at all.
Oh, it's a completely different ball game. It takes different talents to make a long video than a short video. It's like some channels will just, like a lot of, let's say, I don't know why this is the first one that came to mind, but like a little trivia channel or something like that. It's much easier to sort of make short content for that and keep people engaged for that short amount of time. Whereas keeping people engaged for a much longer amount of time takes a different style of video and a different kind of person, really.
I think it's harder to keep people engaged for a longer amount of time in general these days anyway, because there is so much short-form content out there. People are so used to getting their dopamine hits from it so quickly, rather than sitting through a, 20, 30-minute video.
Oh, yeah. It's TikTok, as much as I have benefited from it, it has ruined people's attention spans completely.
Yep. Yep. I'm pretty sure we've spoken about this before on air as well, many times when we've had people on.
It's definitely come up. It's definitely come up before. What sorry, where do you get your inspiration from for like the format of the videos that you do at a time? Obviously, I'm guessing part of it is you just throw stuff at a wall, see what trends, and crack on with that. But like, what thought process goes into like the beforehand? Where do you get the ideas from and go, maybe this will be something good to throw at the wall?
Yeah, so yeah, you are correct in I will just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. It can come from a load of different places. So I've got a few series that I've been doing for a while, and I kind of gain inspiration just from trends that were happening a few years ago. Like, for example, the What Your Favorite Blank Says About You series. That's I've been doing since like 2020. And that was a big... Oh, there's fireworks behind me on the video.
Say, you've got fireworks now.
Yeah. And that was a thing that a lot of people were doing a few years ago. And I thought, no one's really doing this for like metal bands or the stuff that I'm interested in. So why not put my interests in that? And that took off. For other videos, I might just... it might be a case of I've watched a few other content creators and I'm like, I like their mannerisms in this. I kind of like, you know, the kind of topics they're covering in this. I wonder how I can take that and kind of express my views on that subject. It very much, and my brain works in a funny way as well. There's very little planning that goes into making a video. Like when it comes to getting the idea, it is very much like I will randomly have an idea pop into my head, and that very moment I'm like, well, I've got to make this video this second, and it'll get done like that. So that's kind of the thought process behind it, yeah.
How many ideas have been lost to the wayside for just not being able to get the content like on some kind of draft system or something? How much have you lost over the years?
Hundreds of videos. I've got just a list of I say a list. I've got about 50 different like lists that I've started and stopped of different ideas. And sometimes I actually did post a video a few weeks ago, which was an idea that I had written about 3 years ago and completely forgotten about. That when looking through all my old documents and stuff, I was like, oh, why did I never do something with that? So yeah, there's hundreds just sat in the back burner not being made.
Is there anything that you've put aside because it was maybe too controversial, or you know, something you've been worried about getting a bit of backlash for, but you can maybe give us a little bit of insight on, but obviously not enough to get yourself in any trouble if there is anything too damning, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I've got a really bad history of being able to keep my mouth shut when I should keep my mouth shut. So a lot of the controversial videos I probably shouldn't have made are already out there, to be honest. But there's definitely been quite a few. It's less about the controversy now in my mind and more just trying to keep my stuff a little bit more positive, focusing more on humor than anything like that. And also, I got in a couple, not controversies, but I've made a few videos on, like, for example, problems with festivals and stuff, and that's all been sorted out behind the scenes with said people. But it's just trying to remind myself, you know, if you're not the most educated on a topic, maybe don't put your 2 cents out there because you might be wrong. And so, yeah, especially in the last couple months, there's been a lot of videos that I've kind of gone, maybe shut up about it and just it's not worth the hassle.
That's fair. I've seen you've done quite a few collabs as well with a few people. I can never remember his name. The Welsh chap.
Oh, Dean.
I saw you pop up on a couple of his videos recently.
Oh, Dean's lovely, yeah.
Is there anyone out there that you'd like to work with in the future?
Oh God, loads. And there's actually, funnily enough, I can't actually talk much about that because I am working on a very big collab project at the minute. I'm looking at for this video. There's about 60 creators involved for now. So there's a lot of people I want to work with and I will work with. Outside of that, just a lot of bands. I'd love to start working with more smaller bands, giving them a platform, because that's what I've done in the past, and that's what I've been doing. And just there's so many cool musicians and so much cool music out there that people should listen to, and I want to help push that out to an audience. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, and that's exactly what we're about here. So that's even better to have you on with that attitude as well. Great to know we're in good company in that sense. On that note, should we get some songs on?
Go on.
Get a track or two on. Can you remember all the tracks out of your list, or can you see them on the screen there? I don't know if you want to pick a specific one.
Oh, okay. Hang on, let me pull them up on my screen here so it's bigger. Let's go with my favourite band to start off, the Helveti one, Rebirth.
Wicked. Brilliant. We'll get that on now then. It's Eljute. Can you pronounce it for me again?
Helveti, I believe. Helveti.
Perfect. Rebirth. Enjoy, everyone. Ooh, that ended rather abruptly. Right, we're back. We're back with Edgy here, and again, guest host Win and Ota as usual. Ota, over to you. I think you've got some questions piled up, or a couple of questions at least.
I've got. I asked the listeners in the chat for questions if they've got anything they would like to ask, and someone named Sky has put a question forward. They have asked, what are some artists or music that people wouldn't expect you to like just from first impressions?
Oh God. Okay, for context, this guy is one of my best friends. So...
This is a sabotaging question. I got
he
you.
knows.
Oh,
he knows the answer.
So much,
answer.
much music. I mean, we were saying I've been very much into like an Adele, Kelly Clarkson mood recently. What else do I love like comedy. There's one band I like. What are they? OCT. They do like comedy Euro synth music, and they're so fucking good. They're so funny. I love those guys. But when it comes to music, I'm very much I heard someone use the term polyamorous once, and I absolutely adore that. That is me to a T. I will listen to anything. So yeah, anything.
A friend of mine has a game where if you're drinking, you add 3 songs to a playlist, and they can be as random as bollocks, and you have to guess whose music it is. And that playlist is called Polyamorous. It's great until someone busts out the ABBA, then the rest of the game's forgotten. It's an ABBA night.
It's like our download playlist for my group. It was like a mix of, obviously you've got your metal and your rock in there, you've got your cheesy pop, and then you've got like the Thomas and Tank Engine theme, or you've got 1 hour of fart noises, and you're like, what is my friend group and what is their music taste? I dread to think what their Spotify raps look like, but it's all fun.
So was that the answer then? It was Adele and Kelly Clarkson, or is there a particular genre that you've gotten into as well?
This is really hard to answer because I do listen to like most things. I think one that people probably won't expect just from looking at me is musical theatre, probably like my biggest one. I was put in theatre school since I was like 11. Most of my background is in musical theatre, so very much I'll put on anything from Les Mis, Phantom, whatever, and I go feral for it.
Oh, nice.
Can you sing?
I'm taking singing lessons. Whether or not I can sing yet is a different question. I'm not good enough to be public just yet.
Fair.
Yep. We've had another listener question just pop up from my friend Kit. He's asked, is there a genre of music that you will refuse to listen to no matter what? Are there any genres you actually hate?
None that I will absolutely refuse. There are a couple that I've just not really found anything I like. A lot of the weird jazz stuff, I'm not really into. That stuff's a bit off for me. Instrumental stuff, there's like a few exceptions, but instrumental stuff, I struggle because when I listen to music, I relate a lot to the lyrics. I love the lyrics are part of it for me, and I find it hard to kind of get that connection with a song when it's just instrumental. So I'd say them jazzy, like jazz stuff, or just instrumental stuff in general.
I like jazz.
Jazz.
I like jazz and I love instrumentals. Sorry.
I've got a question. So, are you French and British, or specifically French and Welsh? Because I know you're in the Wales area currently.
No, I've actually, the last couple when did I move back? Last month I moved back to London. So no, I'm British and French legally, nationality-wise. I was raised in London. I moved to Wales a few years ago, was based in Wales for a few years. Recently moved back in with parents to save a bit of money, and hopefully getting back to Wales pretty soon.
Wow.
London's it's too expensive. Yeah, the vibes are bad. It's just
Well,
a night.
as a Welsh citizen, just why?
I really like Cardiff. I love that place.
You can tell you're not Welsh, mate.
I never claimed to be.
my actual question was then: do you have any sort of French bands that you could maybe introduce us to?
Oh well, one of them's on the playlist. If I'll get that one whenever we next play a song, there's loads. I mean, obviously you've got the no ones, Landmarks, Gajira, all them lot. One I discovered recently, they were playing at Main Square Festival in France. They're called Audism, I believe. They're from the north of France. And those guys, I mean, I think they're kind of like death metal-y, deathcore-y kind of stuff, and they were so sick. They go so hard, and they're very much like not well known, and they need to be because they slay.
Well, would you like to introduce the song then?
Oh well, that's actually a different band. We'll go with the next song if we're going for that is Pure Le Chemin, which is somewhat softer emo stuff.
We are back. That was Chogaboom with Ohana Meets Family there. Following, was it Kyo?
Kyo, yeah.
So yeah, that was those tracks out of the way. And we're back again. I think we had another question pop up in the chat. Let me just have a look. Oh no, that was the same one. Never mind, ignore me.
Don't worry, we do all the time, Mickey.
Yeah, that's true. So you mentioned off air. I don't know if you mentioned on air or not. You're in checking out your kind of local band, your smaller bands. Are there any smaller bands out there that you want to give a shout out to that you feel deserve a bigger spotlight at the moment, but maybe aren't getting it, or just generally bigger?
Yeah, 100%. There's one that I've been a fan of for years, and I've talked about them on TikTok a couple of times. They're just not getting. They're not getting the spotlight they deserve. It's Saints Among Us. They're a rock band from somewhere up north. I can't remember where. And those guys, every track they've ever put out, I think I've had on repeat. They've been absolutely brilliant. Those guys, show them some love. Saints Among Us.
Are they from Doncaster?
I think so. Actually, yeah. Now you say it, yeah, somewhere up north. That's what I know.
There you go. Otis, our resident doxer.
As you said it, I just typed them into Google, and I'm just having a little look at them now.
No, those guys are really sick. I remember, I think I found them for like a sponsored Instagram post years ago when I was away on like holiday or whatever. And since then, listening to their music makes me think of that holiday, and it's brilliant. It's just great memories. So that might play a part of why I love them so much, but I think they're brilliant.
Are there any other bands you found through social media? Obviously being a platform that you're part of as well, but are there any other bands like that you found just through either sponsored ads or that have just popped up on your timeline?
Oh god, yeah, loads. I'll shout out a few of my friends who I found through there actually. Walwyn, Debris Dance, Rory, who we mentioned I did the interview with. She is an absolute sweetheart, absolute legend. Oh god, Tova. I'm trying to think. Ugly Club. There's so many great bands, and I can be here all day listing them. Honestly, TikTok's a brilliant place to find new music because the algorithm just learns exactly what you like, and you just get recommended so much cool stuff.
Just had another question pop up in the chat. Do you want to take care of that one?
Have we? I wasn't even on the chat page. Look at that.
Oh, it's just popped up in the last few seconds as I said it.
There we go. Well, one of the other members of the Moshville team, Ruby, Mickey's better half, has asked, "What is the worst gig you've ever been to?"
Oh God. Oh, okay. Well, it depends what we're classing as worst. Like worst performer or just worst gig in general.
Give us one of each. Give us one of each.
So worst gig in general, I am going to say Youngblood in like 2018, 2019. Now, I really like Youngblood. I think he's doing brilliant stuff. But I have to be honest when I say, my God, that crowd had to be the worst thing I have ever been in. I was down near the front, and I had to... It's the first time at a gig I'd had to, like, move all the way to the back just to avoid getting my ears broken from the amount of screaming. Again, no, that's nothing against Youngblood himself. He was absolutely brilliant that night, but my God, that crowd was awful. And if we're going for worst gig ever, like performer-wise, it's hard to say. I'd probably, just the one that's freshest in my memory is Sean Paul at Main Square Festival. I have never, I think Sean Paul's music's a bit fun, but I have never been so bored during a set than during that. It's just, he just kind of stands there and goes, yeah, and talks a bit, and it feels like he doesn't actually sing the song. That's, I'll have to say, worst performance. It was just dull.
I've heard the same about a few people who do DJ nights. I'm not going to mention names, but I've heard people who do DJ nights. A few people are very much just going off the name and just standing there going, all right, yeah, pressing the next button on the laptop.
Very much felt like that. He did have, there was a live band there, and the live band were pretty cool, but just in general, it wasn't a fun experience.
It sort of didn't feel like he was actually putting on a show.
Fans as well, they don't understand concert etiquette as well as maybe the older generation does. Because I've seen Pierce the Veil twice, and this is just fresh from memory. First time was like 2014, and they were brilliant. Fans were great. I went to go see them again either this year or last year, I can't remember now. And the fans that were there were genuinely horrendous. Like, there was so much on TikTok. It was all over Twitter. There were people like purposely dropping crowd surfers. There were people that were like punching each other. Horrendous. So that I find the new fans this TikTok age not that great.
Sorry. I definitely agree in the sense that, like, I don't go to a lot of big gigs, so I can't necessarily say from that aspect. But there is I think COVID played a huge part in concert etiquette just not being like just completely going down the pan, because the new generation who were getting into that music, and a lot of people were getting into alternative music whilst locked down. They haven't quite gotten. They didn't have that sort of community around them in person to kind of learn from and know what a gig's kind of meant to be like. And so you get this kind of, hang on, where am I going with this? Sorry, I've completely lost my train of thought.
The picking up of like concert etiquette, how it was kind of lost in the couple of years without COVID.
Yeah, it's like when you first start, like when I first started going to metal shows or rock shows, it was very much I felt like I was kind of new in the scene. I didn't know what was going on, so I was kind of following what everyone else was doing around me. And, they'll pick up someone if they fall over. If there's crowd stuff's going up, you help them. And COVID sort of moved that from the metal and rock scene being a lot more in-person based to being a lot more online based. So that same kind of introduction to the scene through shows and stuff never happened. So when these people who have, in their minds, been a part of the rock and metal scene for a few years, even though they've not been able to go to any gigs, they finally start going to gigs. It doesn't quite feel the same as they're learning and being introduced to the scene. It feels like they're just going in with their mind already made up of how to be and how to act, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there would be people who might have been turning 13 at the start of 2019 when it was all kicking off, and obviously things didn't really get back to full swing until like mid 2022. I want to say really is when things really got back. So I mean, you look at that gap there. That's 3 years on its own. That's a 16-year-old there who's just, as you say, been exposed to online gigs, screen shared at schools and things like that. And yeah, absolutely, it's going to be a big culture shock. And that I've definitely noticed it since kind of coming back to it. I'd like to tell myself it's me noticing things rather than just I'm 35 and getting old and grumpy about all these young'uns being young. But at the same time, like I definitely think there is, like you say, there's that lack of knowledge being passed on, or just experience being not passed on, and people are still kind of catching up with that, particularly the younger generation who never got to learn it in the first place.
Yeah, 100%.
So we've had another listener question come in, leading off from the worst gig you've ever been to. Someone's asked, what's the best gig you've ever experienced?
Oh god, there's so many. I would... Okay, so this is more... It's less about the gig itself and more just everything about it. but Dream State, I think it was at the Boiler Room in Guildford a good few years ago. Obviously, Dream State, they're one of my favorite bands, and they were brilliant that night. But it's more just I was with my best friend. It was just good vibes all day. It was probably the most positive mindset I'd ever been in at a concert, and that memory just sticks to me as just my favorite gig memory, like ever. It wasn't necessarily like the biggest show, it wasn't the wildest show or anything, but it was just amazing vibes.
Nice. So all the vibes make
What
a
about
show.
your favourite festival memory then?
Festival memory? What, of like a band or just something that's happened?
Your band, or it could be something that happened, maybe something whilst you were camping, or just what's your fondest memory of a festival?
I'd say, well, this is sort of a lot of memories in one, but without sounding too cocky, getting recognised a lot at Download, especially this year, but in the last few years, sort of blew me away. And that was, it just boosted my mood every single time. And that was, when I look back at Download now, I just think of that. And yeah, that I'd probably say best memory in that sense. If I'm talking like music and actual like the festival vibes, I'm probably gonna have to say Bring Me the Horizon at Download last year, just because that was the moment where I was like, Download is finally bringing in something new and it's working, and it just made me so excited to see what's going to happen in the future with that festival.
Can't say I've ever been to Download. Every time I look at the lineups, I'm like, it'd be nice to go, but there's probably only about 30% of the bands I'd happily go watch.
Well, I mean, if you're at a festival, especially the size of Download, you're only going to see a handful of the bands on the lineup at the end of the day anyway.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah, I much prefer the idea of going to individual gigs from festivals personally, but I do know why people love to go to festivals. I remember I went to a Reading festival years and years ago. It was like the first major festival I'd ever gone to, and it was a great experience. I loved it. Probably wouldn't do it again, especially not this year after seeing all the videos from Reading and Leeds of all the tents flying away and everything.
Yeah, Reading is very much for a younger fan base nowadays, which to each, like, it's its own thing. That's fair enough. But yeah, I've had a few mates who have gone to Reading just like in their 20s, and they've come back going, listen, I'm still fairly young, relatively speaking, but at Reading I felt like the oldest fucker in the room. Like, it is very, after your GCSEs A-level type festival, I think after that it's hard to find that same kind of enjoyment as you might be able to find at another festival.
So I think I was about 19, maybe 20-ish when I went to Reading. I can't remember.
Yeah.
All I remember, it was the year Slipknot had to pull out because Joey broke his foot or something.
Fair.
Well, seeing as how you mentioned Bring Me the Horizon a minute ago, and Win happens to have a Bring Me the Horizon track on, how about we play one of theirs?
Go on.
Awesome stuff. This is Lost. And there you go, that was another track chosen by Edgy there. That was The Essence of Silence by Epica. And so, yeah, we're at kind of the top of the first hour now, which means things, as I mentioned to you earlier, Edgy, things kind of evolve from this point. We usually start hitting up all of the weird covers.
It's perfect time for Covers Corner, isn't it?
I was going to say, yeah, it's usually about that kind of time, and we've got a few lined up. I've got one lined up that I mentioned to you a couple of days ago on the chat. I think I did send you the links for it, but I wasn't sure if you checked it out, so I wanted to make sure we gave you a proper showing of it today. Ota, I think you said we had another question or two lined up before we get this cover on.
We do. So, firstly, the first question we've had is, what's the weirdest interaction you've had with a fan?
Okay, so without talking about the genuinely scary ones, okay, so I made a video a few years ago. I'm going to give you guys important context about the Sex Pistols and talking about Johnny Rotten being a bit of a knobhead, in my opinion. And I hadn't checked my Instagram message requests for a while, and I looked and I noticed I had like a backlog of messages from one person, and it was some American lady. I don't know much about her, but she tried ringing me multiple times, just not like in one go, like over the course of a few weeks, just would randomly try and ring me. And at one point I thought, sod it, this'll be funny. I'm just going to not answer the call, but I'm going to text him. And so there was a little back and forth, and she was a massive Sex Pistols fan. And she started going off about how every man she'd ever dated looked like Sid Vicious and how all this kind of stuff. And I was having a bit of fun. I was sort of teasing her back. And then at one point, she had a go at me saying, well, I look after my kids. They're all well-fed. What do you do with your life? And after that, sent me photos of all her children, which already, very strange. Amongst those photos was, let's say, a very private picture that should not be sent to someone you don't know. And so I kind of messaged back going, God. I assume that, I just assumed that must have been a mistake. Surely that can't be a thing a person in there would do. So I go kind of, what the fuck was up with that one? And she doubled down, started sending more photos of her children. That was probably the strangest. I mean, that's actually not, looking back at the question, that's not even a fan interaction, it's like an anti-fan interaction. But yeah, when I think of interactions I've had from viewers, that's the weirdest one that comes to mind.
So someone's just said, sending pictures of children is so pop punk. And...
Yeah, the thing is, when I say her children, only a couple of them were children. The rest would look like they were in their 20s, 30s, to be honest. Which made it even stranger. Like, what you're doing, you've got kids who are adults, and you're arguing with some random person. I think at the time, how old was I? I was like 20 at the time. What are you doing?
Oh, God. Well,
people, if you're listening, don't send unsolicited private photos. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
It's not a good thing.
It wasn't what I wanted.
And the other question we've had is, are there any ideal headliners you'd love to see? If you're at a festival, like if you could pick your ideal headliners for a festival, who would it be?
Oh, so I'd let's say 3 headliners. I'm going to go completely like no consistency with them. I want to cover as much range as possible. First one I've mentioned already multiple times, Adele. I just love that woman, and her voice is incredible. So we're going Adele first night. We've played them. Elvati, my all-time favorite band, so we've got to stick them on second slot. Who would I stick for third headline out of all of that? I would. Ooh, do you know what? I'd get curveball. I'd get the cast of a musical. Probably, actually no, scrap that. I saw Hugh Jackman live a few years ago do like a whole musical concert, and that was amazing. Nice, so we're sticking Hugh Jackman on to just do whatever musical songs he wants. So we're going.
He was in the stage production of Oklahoma before he got cast in X-Men, didn't he?
We started on Broadway, at least musicals, to my understanding, and he's done like obviously Les Mis and The Greatest Showman and all that after.
Yeah, I recently introduced my daughter to the X-Men and Wolverine films, and we watched X-Men 1 together, and then we went back to watch Wolverine Origins, and we got about 3/4 of the way through it before she sat there and went, "He's in The Greatest Showman, isn't he?" I was like, "Yeah, he is. It took you that long." He was like, "Yeah, he doesn't have mutton chops in The Greatest Showman." So like, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I always forget that Hugh Jackman can actually sing.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm not like a Marvel fan. The only Marvel films I've seen is like one of the Avengers and like the Deadpool films. So at the time, I'd only ever seen Hugh Jackman in musicals, so that's sort of where I know him from. So seeing him in the new Deadpool film was a bit like, what are you doing here not singing? You know what I mean?
Oh, I haven't seen the new Deadpool yet, but I'm very excited for it. I did watch. I watched Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds on an episode of The Hot Ones recently. If you watch that,
I still need to watch that. I need to watch that. Come on,
that was a good episode. That was a very funny episode.
Like, I'll stick it on after this.
I just love watching their chemistry together during interviews and stuff. They play off each other so well.
Oh, and you can tell in the film as well. It's just brilliant. You're in for a treat.
Oh, I can't wait. I've already been spoiled with a lot of the cameos and variants of the characters and stuff like that, so I know all of that stuff.
We won't spoil it in case anyone listening hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all good. Right, so I'm going to get back to knocking this party off the rails, and we're going to kick off with a Venga Boys cover for Covers Corner. Regular listeners will have heard this one a few weeks ago, but I couldn't help but play it again. Back again. That was Vesper Time Decay. I don't know if I'm saying that right. By Obi Katie Cat there. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so it's originally by Aborted, and she covered it because she likes to cover brutal shit.
I was going to say we've had a few of her songs on originals and covers over time now. I think.
Yeah, we played a cover of that fucking Lorna Shore song a little while ago. And a cover of what is it? That's Viking. That's the one by Slaughter to Prevail. I swear.
Sticking on the slightly strange covers, what slightly strange covers would you like to hear in the future, Edgy? What bands out there would you like to hear play the most unhinged cover versions of? Give us a handful of tracks.
I don't know if I've got any unhinged covers, but I really like the stuff that, like, a lot of the YouTubers like Violet Orlandi, Holocene, a lot of stuff they do, I think is sick. So any of their covers, I think would be brilliant.
So we've had a couple. I think O2, you've bought a couple of Holocene tracks on the show before, haven't you?
Maybe, I think
so.
So
sure you have.
I'm not entirely sure now. I'm gonna have to have a look.
I know we've definitely had them on the show. I'm pretty sure it was you sent them over, but it might have been someone else.
I mean, if they're YouTube based, yeah, it probably was me, to be honest.
They're very much. It's that whole YouTube cover scene. You do the slightly alternative stuff. You've got First to 11, Holocene, Lauren Babic, all of them lot basically. Yeah.
I say Leo's one of the default guys I go to when I want to find a good
Leo's
one. I want to find a good cover.
Studios.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
He does great covers. I've been recently listening to someone called Falcone, who does a lot of metal covers of anime and video game stuff. I've been listening to they've got a playlist of a bunch of metal covers of songs from the Nier Automata games, and oh my god, it's fucking epic. I love it.
Fair play.
Like,
there's one really. It was from
epic music anyway.
It just sprung to mind. Probably one of my favorite metal covers is "Betraying the Martyrs" "Let It Go," because it was so out of this. Like, why is a metal band doing "Let It Go"? And then you hear it thinking it's going to be a bit funny, and no, it's just a fucking solid song.
Win, I think you've been sat on a couple of burning questions that you wanted to get out of the way to do with a certain somebody.
Actually, so we've mentioned on across the station a bunch of different shows. A certain someone who is to be fair, he's got a very popular band, Falling in Reverse, which I happen to really like the band. I have since I was a kid. However, I was scrolling through TikTok, this was quite a few weeks ago now, but I happened to see a TikTok by this man, and he had stitched you. So, tell me how the beef with Ronnie Radke came into play.
Oh, okay. So it first started, funnily enough, a few years ago. I just spoke about, because a lot of people were asking in my comments, this is the time I spoke a lot more on the politics side of things, and a lot of people were asking about Falling in Reverse. So I made a video talking about Ronnie Radke and all the things that come with that man. And he stitched me at the time, and I didn't see his original stitch. He deleted the video where it got taken down quite quickly. And it was basically him calling me a neckbeard, all that sort of stuff, but I saw someone else repost it. And then the more recent one was a couple months ago even now. I have my What Your Music Taste Says About You series, and I like joking in them, and I just put Falling in Reverse there and said ooh, like EW, didn't say anything else. And he stitched that. Doing the same thing, calling me a neckbeard and all this jazz. So yeah, that's how that came about. He didn't like a joke I made.
Dude sounds like a man-child who can't take criticism.
It wasn't even criticism.
Yeah.
What was it you said, sorry?
He is the most chronically online sort of musician I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I can see what he's doing, and it works very well for him. I do just think the guy... Personally, I think the guy is an absolute arsehole. And I find it quite fun to poke fun at him. Because I do know as well, like, when I do poke fun at him, it makes for fun content. And if I get a reaction out of him, it kind of proves my points that I'm normally saying, and it, again, makes for fun content. I'm trying to hold back from doing that now, just because I want to move towards doing a bit more positive stuff, and I want to leave that sort of drama away from TikTok now. But he's just so easy. He'll reply to anything. The man's just so easy to beef with.
He honestly sounds like he's on the verge of becoming a lolcow.
Well, he's sort of built this whole character around himself. I mean, he's been doing it since I was a kid. You know, that whole "I'm an arsehole" character, and yeah, he's sticking to it. I just think he's done a lot of it, like problematic things, which I won't get into. I don't like the guy.
No,
yeah,
you're not alone there.
Going back to the videos where you say like this is what your music says about you, because you've done a lot of positive ones as well. Is there anyone else you've interacted with who's sort of gone, oh, you know, this is my band, thanks mate, or?
Oh yeah, 100%. I've talked to a few people. I became mutuals with a few. Janet Devlin, she's brilliant. I love her music. She interacted with the video when I put her in it. We became mutuals through that. I mean, I've sort of shouted out a few of my friends' bands, so Rory, Dopamine, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've never had a negative interaction from one of the artists mentioned, apart from Ronnie Radke. All the rest of the artists who have interacted with me from that series have all been very positive, and I've been very happy.
Bro.
Okay, so just checking in on the chat activity. There's
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for Ronnie to start beefing with Moshville now.
Oh, maybe. I'm happy. Come at me, Ronald.
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Come at me, Ronald. I'll fucking bite your fucking nose off.
It'll do good numbers, I tell you that. The one good thing I kind of brag about is his response to me, like to that video. I then responded to that, and I don't normally give a shit about this, but it is quite funny. I got more views and more likes and more interaction than he did on his response to me. So I'm a bit like
that's a mic drop moment. That is.
I felt a bit proud of that.
That is a total mic drop moment.
Would you ever consider doing like one of the sponsored like boxing matches or something with the guy if it ever came to it? Just to get your hands on him.
Someone say what message. Let's get this set up.
I mean, what is the moral standing of someone who's in their 20s fighting someone who is far too old to be doing that?
Jake Paul's meant to be fighting Mike Tyson. Like,
Well,
you're
it'll be
fine.
for charity or something. Like they always do it for charity.
Oh, if it was for charity, I'd be down. I will say this: as much as I like to slag him off, that man could 100% batter me. I am not strong in the slightest. But I got into one fight in secondary school. The guy threw one punch, and I started crying. Like, that's not my vibe.
But if you get to be one of the few guys on the earth who say, you know what, I got to land a good fucking right hand on him. I got a nice right hook on him just a once. Like, I mean, for that, I think it'd be worth it.
I don't know, that man's been to prison. I feel like a few people could probably say that.
Well, yeah, probably, to be fair. He's a bit of a weed. Right, let's... we've still got a couple of your tracks lined up here, Edgy. Do you want to get one of these last two on? Or get one of the last two introduced?
Let's get D'Artagnan, My Love's in Germany. Love that song.
And we are back yet again, and we're talking pizza toppings. Wynn, do you want to go ahead and ask that again for everyone on air?
Okay, so first of all, at Bloodstock, this Bloodstock just gone. In Midgard, there was a massive debate on pizza toppings. So first of all, are you a pineapple on pizza man?
I don't care. Like, it's all right. Like, I don't mind it. It's not my go-to, but I can eat it.
What the people that were debating were getting really, like, obviously there's not all of them are as sober as they usually would be, but they were getting really aggressive with their answers.
I feel like that's why, out of all like the food-based debates that have gotten so big, why is pineapple on pizza the one that skyrocketed?
You know what,
like, people are putting tuna, like people put fish on pizza.
Oh yeah, man! Anchovy pizza is fucking great. I love anchovies on pizza.
That's wrong and stuff. My dad puts anchovies on pizza, and that's far more horrific than pineapple on pizza, in my opinion.
How have you been my friend for 2 decades and I've not known this about you? That's disgusting.
It's because whenever I eat pizza with friends, I never order anchovy pizza because no other fucker eats it. I only ever order it when I'm ordering pizza on my own.
There are some things you keep to yourself, Ota. I'm not gonna lie. That's one of them.
No, that's changed our friendship dynamic for the rest of our lives, mate.
I've also emptied a packet of Maltesers on top of a pizza before.
Oh God! What other substances involved in that? I hope so, but
No, I was 100% sober. I had my pizza and I was really craving chocolate at the same time. And I thought, you know what? Instead of trying to wolf down the chocolate to eat the pizza or wolf down the pizza to eat the chocolate, I'll just put the chocolate on top of the fucking pizza. Done.
why not take turns, bite of pizza and then a multi? Why put it on the pizza?
Why not?
I could think of various reasons why not.
And you were sober when you did this.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to know what I've put in pizza under the influence, Jesus.
Go on and chat if you're out there. What's the weirdest thing you've ever put on a pizza or had on a pizza that you've actually gone, like, yeah, that's pretty good. I have to confess, peach on pizza works quite well.
I can't say I've tried, but I can see the appeal.
So I can't the same
I
as
can see it working.
yeah.
More than
bacon.
Maltesers, at least.
Yeah.
Wait, can I clarify? On this Malteser pizza, was this one of your sardine pizzas as well?
No. It was a plain cheese pizza.
Okay, because I feel like that would clash even more, and I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, fish and chocolate. That's one I would try.
Yeah.
Too far
Oh,
gone.
I'm glad you quit the show because I'd have fired your ass.
I'll tell you what, I'm writing up a P45 after the show.
Just to fuck everyone off. After the show, I'm going to go over to the shop, buy a pineapple, cut it in half, and make a pizza on top of a pineapple.
That's
shit
fine.
rocks. That shit rocks.
And then
That's fine.
And then I'm gonna buy some kippers and cook those off and put some kippers on top of it.
Don't.
Yeah, kippers.
Is that a fish?
I can't even remember what type of fish it actually is. Hold on, give me a sec. It's old people food. It's herring. It's smoked herring.
That
That's
feels wrong.
kippers. Yeah, kippers on toast. Oh, one of my favorite suppers.
I feel like I've gone back in time and I'm chatting to someone from the war.
Tell you about tripe next.
Mate, I said to one of my friends a while ago that I was eating kippers on toast for supper, and I was like, "You're such an old man. Next thing you know, you'll have slip-on slippers in a plaid blanket over your legs." So I took a photo, and I was wearing slip-on slippers, and I had a plaid blanket over my legs.
So, that's understandable. I live for comfort, so fair play.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've left the house in anything other than Crocs in the last few months.
Oh, mate, I just like to tell people I was born about 60, and I've aged every year since.
So you've been an old man since as long as I've known you, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right, we've got time for a few more songs before we pass the station over to Sandra on the Black Metal show this evening. She'll be kicking off just after 10 o'clock once we're done. But yeah, let's get another couple more songs in before we say our goodbyes and leave on the evening. Ota and Wind, because we're out of tracks by Edgy now. Pick a song between you. Argue about it. Fight.
Don't want to argue with Ota. I've already decided that because he's on pizza, so disgraceful. I genuinely don't know my sense either. So I'm gonna have to the stage by asking Alexandria because I got there first.
Oh, yep, that seems fair. In which case, let's have some asking Alexandria. And we're back again before we say goodbye for the evening. And leave you with Sandra at 9 o'clock. Sorry, not 10 o'clock. I can't read the time properly today, apparently. Regular listeners, make sure you tune in tomorrow night for Manic Mondays. Win will be there, Mark will be there, as well as the rest of the crazy team. I might even be there again as well. Who knows? We've got a couple of bits happening throughout the week as well. We've got Chris on Tuesday with a CPR show, Red Deaf Media with Sherry, and then on Wednesday we've got Spotlight with Martin Camp of Deprivation Fest organisation fame, along with Raging Speedhorns drummer Gordon, who'll be joining us for a couple of hours Wednesday from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. We've got Ricky on Thursday, and the prog show, and a few other bits on Friday, and Saturday we've got Darkside and a few other bits as well. I believe
promotions on Monday.
Oh, Lilith isn't on air at the moment still. She's not back yet. She's still on her break at the moment. But yeah, when Lilith's back, we'll be Lilith on Monday as well, before Mark's show. I believe that kicks off at 7 usually on a Monday. But yeah, Lilith will be back with the station soon, and we've got some more stuff coming up in the pipeline I'll tell you about yet. But yeah, hopefully we should have a bit of a bigger roster in the next coming couple of months.
Ota, do you want to shout out your show as well, since Mickey's forgotten about you? Good thing I'm here.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, every Wednesday, 12 midday until 2 p.m. I play shit. Like, it's all shit. most of it is like bands your parents would listen to and your grandparents, so if you want to hear some old boomer shit, tune into my show on the Wednesday lunchtime.
That's about right. And Win, I suppose you better plug your other show as well.
Every Sunday from 4 till 6 we have the emo show It's Not a Phase Mom, where we just play absolute outrageous bollocks. There's 3 of us now since Ota has very sadly left us. Go fuck yourself, Ota. Come join us next Sunday.
Wicked stuff. And regular listeners of the Blegh Witch Project, be aware there may or may not be a show next week. We're still trying to figure things out because of Deprivation Fest happening. I'm going to be help keeping one of the stages running. I think Ota's going to be potentially coming along as well. But we haven't actually talked about it yet, so it might be a solo show from Ota. We might skip it. I don't know what we're going to do yet.
I'm working.
You're working. Okay. See,
you're staying at mine Friday, and
that's it. Yeah,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Cool. So yeah, unless I can figure out a way to do a live show from the venue itself, there may not be a show next week. But keep your eyes on socials, and I will put a post to update everybody on that. And with that, I think we should pick one of these last couple of tracks. Edgy, is there anything you want to plug? Do you want to plug your socials again for everybody listening who might not have them already?
So over on TikTok, you can find me as ThatOneEdgyKid or ThatOtherEdgyKid. I've got 2 pages. Over on Instagram as well, it's ThatOneEdgyKid, and YouTube, ThatOneEdgyKid as well.
Fantastic stuff. Well, thank you for coming on tonight, dude. Thank you so much for giving us a bit of your time this evening. Hopefully we can get you back in the future for something, or collaborate down the line maybe. But again, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure having you. And everybody listening, we're going to leave you with a track called Kill or Be Killed by New Year's Day. It's one of Win choices, so if it's bad, you can blame her. Good night, everyone. You chose that as well. There you go. All right, in which case we will potentially see everyone next week on the Blegh Witch Project. Good night, everyone.